What is going on, everybody? This is NYG Jeffy T 3285, and I have a little bit more roster news from the New York Giants, as today they were able to claim another cornerback to their roster as possible depth going into the rest of training camp and the last couple of games of preseason. As today the New York Giants claimed undrafted free agent out of USC who played with the Buffalo Bills last year, Olaijah Griffin. The 5'11", 175-pound defensive back is going to be now added to the New York Giants' depth going into this rest of training camp and preseason. Now, he pretty much was just a guy that was just added for depth, spent most of his time on the practice squad for the majority of the Buffalo Bills' time. So you have to wonder if this guy was just added another camp body because of the fact that the New York Giants have a little bit of questions right now with their cornerback depth, and because of the fact that the New York Giants just recently released a couple of their cornerbacks they signed this past offseason, as Maurice Kennedy and just recently Michael Jacquet was just released from the roster. So maybe the New York Giants are hoping Olaijah Griffin can be another body added, see what the kid can do in the last couple of preseason games, as well as they could see what he can do in the rest of training camp, and maybe, just maybe, another guy, throw him in there as competition and see if he can maybe win out a spot in terms of the rest of the back end of the roster, in terms of maybe being a reserve cornerback or being a guy that could contribute on special teams. Now, he has no stats known right now in his last year in Buffalo. Like I mentioned before, he was an undrafted free agent out of USC, played with the Buffalo Bills last year, claimed as an undrafted free agent, spent most of his time on the practice squad, no games recorded, no in-time games. So I think most likely he's just another camp body that's just been brought in. New York Giants needs a little bit of help in terms of the cornerback position because they have a lot of issues with injuries, as well as they've released a couple of guys. So it doesn't hurt to add a little bit more competition to the back end of that roster. But we have to see what Olaijah Griffin can bring to the roster going forward. So he's just the latest addition that the New York Giants have added to that cornerback room going forward. And I mean, it doesn't hurt. Add another body in there. See what this kid could provide. Doesn't have the greatest of size. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot of experience playing in the NFL, as he spent last year on the Buffalo Bills practice squad. But it does not hurt to bring in another body, more competition, see how the kid looks the rest of training camp, like I mentioned earlier in the video. See how he looks in terms of the last couple of games of preseason. And who knows, maybe you might have a kid wants to prove something in his second year. Go out there, play well, maybe he catches an eye of Brian Dable and Wink Martindale, and you might have yourself something, and you might have yourself a player that you could throw on there at the back end of the roster going forward. So we'll have to see how this kid does going into his second year. New York Giants could just be a camp body pretty much. I think that's what a majority of fans think he might be. Another camp body added to the team. But at the same time, you never know. Maybe with the opportunities presented in front of him, and because nobody has really snatched up those reserve roles in terms of the cornerback depth, this kid could come in there, show out, and maybe he could be a guy that you could throw in there as a special teams player. Or if he shows out pretty well, looks pretty good, fits the system well, maybe you have yourself something in terms of a backup cornerback going forward. So we'll have to see how Olaijah Griffin comes. But he's come from the Buffalo Bills. There you go again. Another familiar face that Joe Schoen and Brian Dable are bringing in from the Buffalo Bills system. So you'll have to see how he looks in the New York Giants team going forward. So that's just my latest roster update for the New York Giants. After they released a couple of cornerbacks in the past few days with Maurice Kennedy and Michael Jacquet, the New York Giants have claimed another cornerback today, as they claimed cornerback Olaijah Griffin, former UFC Trojan from 2021. He's played 2 years in the league, 5'11", 176 pounds, undrafted free agent. Have to see how he's going to look with the New York Giants going forward. So if you like this video, please hit the like button below. Subscribe if you haven't already to NYG Jeffy T 3285 for more breaking news, updates, and chatter surrounding the New York Giants, Brooklyn Nets, New York Mets, WWE Wrestling, as well as food for thought. Share your comments below on the latest addition to the New York Giants, Olaijah Griffin, if you think he might just be a camp body to the roster, or if you think possibly he could be a guy that maybe, if he looks very good in preseason, he could maybe compete for a back end of the roster. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping for the New York Giants. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Monday afternoon/evening. Take it easy, and let's go New York Giants. Just always remember, together blue, everyone.